Confidence is visible, competence is not. And interviews often reward what is visible. That's where the problem starts, because I've seen confident candidates with shallow answers get offers, and I've seen highly capable candidates lose out because they presented quietly. Today we're going to separate confidence from competence, and more importantly, show you how to demonstrate both without pretending to be someone you're not. This is Mente inside recruitment. Across industries, I've watched this pattern play out repeatedly. Panels say they want capability, but under pressure, humans respond to signals. They respond to energy, pace, eye contact, certainty. Those signals can get interpreted as strength. And when the market is competitive, that interpretation can tip the scale. Not because panels are foolish, but because they are human. Let's define the difference clearly. Confidence is how something sounds. Competence is what something contains. Confidence is tone, pace, posture, decisiveness, and competence is judgment, depth, clarity, and evidence. The strongest candidates have got both, but most people will lean towards one side or the other. And there are two common profiles that I see. Profile 1 is high confidence and I was going to say low depth, that's maybe a little bit too far, but high confidence without huge substance. So they might have strong eye contact, quick answers, a certain tone, but when you listen closely, the examples are a little bit thin. There might be general statements with little evidence, minimal reflection. These candidates really often perform well in the room, but can quite often struggle later in the role when the reality hits. The second profile is high competence and low projection. So they're thoughtful, they're careful, they can have strong examples, but they're often delivered quite quietly. Overly modest potentially, sometimes a little bit hesitant, and they might use language like, I just blah blah blah, or I was lucky that this happened. It was more of a team effort. You know, they dilute their own impact, and panels don't always consciously penalise that, but unconsciously, it lowers that perceived authority. So here's the uncomfortable part. If two candidates have similar competence, the more confident communicator pretty much always wins. Not because they're better, but because to the hiring manager, they feel much safer to hire. Clarity feels safe, certainty feels safe, hesitation feels risky. So the solution isn't necessarily to become louder, it's to become clearer. So what does confident delivery actually look like? Confident delivery doesn't mean dominating the room. It means answering without rushing. It means finishing sentences clearly, avoiding disclaimers, holding eye contact when you land your key points, sitting still instead of fidgeting. Again, that's something I fully recognise is very difficult to cognitively do in the moment, but it's something that if you want this to make a difference, you have to work at, okay? Another thing is letting silence sit for a second after you finish speaking. Confidence is often quiet control, not volume. If you think about a pilot on a flight, you don't want them necessarily to be overly loud or charismatic. You need them to sound steady, clear, certain. That steadiness builds trust. And interviews work the same way. So you're signalling whether you can be trusted with responsibility. So what can you do to increase perceived confidence without changing who you actually are? Here are the practical adjustments that I think would make a big difference. So one is removing softening language. So instead of saying, I just supported, say, I led. Instead of saying, I was lucky to be involved, you could say, I was responsible for. Now, obviously, what you're saying has to ring true, but don't diminish your achievements if you've got them. 2, land your impact clearly. Don't trail off. Finish with the outcome and then stop. Have that moment of silence. The 3rd, slow down your pace by about 10%. Most people are going to speed up what they're talking and their answers when they're nervous. Slowing slightly increases perceived authority immediately. And 4, own your role in team success. You could absolutely acknowledge collaboration, but don't disappear inside of that. Say things like, I worked with the team to deliver this, and my responsibility was this. That's balanced, okay? It involves both sides. Now, this isn't all about bringing up the levels of confidence in quieter individuals. If you're naturally confident, there's going to be risks for you as well, okay? Overconfidence can absolutely mask depth. If your answers are quick and polished but light on detail, strong panels are going to notice that. So your discipline is this. You need to add substance. You need to give specifics. Show reflection. Show that you've thought about these things. Avoid speaking over the panel. Leave space for thinking and digesting what's been said. True senior confidence always includes listening. And this also connects back to unconscious bias, which we talked about in a previous video. So panels can misread quiet as weak and misread strong tone as strong capability. You cannot control every bias in the room, but you can control your signals, and signals shape the final perception. So here's what I would advise doing to work on all of this. Record yourself answering one question. Watch it back. Ask yourself, did I look rushed? Did I undermine myself with soft language? Did I land my outcome clearly? Or did I drift at the end? Then adjust, okay? Small changes here can create a huge impact moving forwards. And in the next episode, we're going to look at what employers are really assessing beneath common interview questions. Because most questions aren't surface level. They're risk questions in disguise. And once you understand the risk behind the questions, your answers become far more powerful. If you want to interview with clarity and control, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.